Hello students, I am Anup sir and today we will be doing numericals on the chapter force for class 10th. So theory part we have already done. So based on that theory part that we have done, that means we have done over here torque and the principle of moment. So based on that topic, let us try few of the numericals. So again I would suggest you first, as I'm going to display all the numericals first which we will be practicing. So it will be better for you if you note down these numericals first in your copy or on a page, so that as we solve the numericals you can read along with me the numericals. Then it will be easy for you to understand it. So without wasting much of our time, let's start with the numericals. Now let us see the first numerical that we have. A mechanic can open a nut by applying a force of 120 Newton while using a lever handle of length 40 centimeter. Now you see in the first statement what they have given us. They have given us that force applied. Here they have given you force applied. Force applied is 120 Newton. Now this force is applied on a lever of handle of length 40. So see, when you are applying the force on the lever, then this will be the point of the nut, you can say, where the nut will, and then you will be having a lever like this. Now the length of the lever handle is given to you of 40 centimeter. So that means you will be applying the force. Now this will be the point of rotation and this is the line of action of force. So the distance of line of action of force from the point of rotation is given to you 40 centimeter. So this is the perpendicular distance given to you. So you can say perpendicular distance is equal to 40 centimeter. That can be written as, this information is given to us in the first statement. A mechanic can open a nut by applying a force of 120 Newton while using a lever handle of length. Now whatever will be the length of the lever handle, that will be the perpendicular distance of force from the axis of rotation. Now this is the axis of rotation and here you will be applying the force at the end of the handle. So from here what can be calculated? Torque required. We have 48, then force is in Newton and distance we have converted into meter, so it will be Newton meter. So see, from the first statement, force and the perpendicular distance was known to us. So what we have calculated is the torque required. Okay, now the second part of the question says, how long a handle is required if we want to open it by applying a force of only 50 Newton. Now, in case 2, they are saying force is given to you. Now the person has to apply force of 50 Newton. And they are saying how long the handle should be. In the second part, B is unknown. D is unknown. See, in the first part, D was known and F was also known. In the second part, B is to be calculated and the force given is 50 Newton. Right? Now, Distance, that means the length of the handle to be calculated, and the force applied is only 50 Newton, and they are saying how long the handle should be. But the person is opening the same nut. Remember this, the person is opening the same nut. So if you are opening the same nut, then the torque required will remain the same. So your torque required will remain the same. And why this same torque? Because he is opening same nut. He is opening the same nut, so the force torque required will remain the same. So here we can apply the formula. Torque is equal to F into perpendicular distance. Torque remains the same, 48. Force 50, and you have to calculate this distance. So if you solve it, you are getting 48 upon 50, and this distance you are getting in meter. So if you want, you can convert it into centimeter. So what should be the length of the handle? The length of the handle should be 96 centimeter. Just go through the numerical once again. In the first case, a nut was to be opened. The length of the handle was given 40 and the force required was 120. So we got the torque required, and the torque required will be 48 Newton meter. Now in case 2, he has to apply only the 50 Newton force to open the same nut. So torque required will remain the same, that the first case. And now you solve it to get the distance that will give you the length of the handle. You can pause and note down this. Now numerical number 2 next. Now numerical number 2, they are saying the iron door of a building is 3 meter broad. Okay. It can be opened by applying a force of 120 Newton normally at the middle of the door. Calculate the torque needed. Okay. Now in case 1, see, let us consider that this is the iron door. These are the hinges. So here you will be getting the axis of rotation. Now here you have the width of the door given to you is 3 meter. Now in case 1, the person is applying the force of 120 Newton at the middle of the door. He is applying the force here, F1. 120 Newton at the middle of the door. Now if the person is applying force at the middle of the door, you can say that the distance here, this perpendicular distance, is applying the force at the middle of the door. Door is 3 meter, so this will be 1.5 meter. So here, if the force is known and the perpendicular distance is known, you can calculate the torque required. So the torque required force he applies 120 Newton, and at what distance he applies the force? He applies the force at a distance of 1.5. was the case 1. So from case 1, distance and force both were known to us. So we have calculated the torque required. Okay, now going to the case 2, the same door is to be opened again, but now this time he has to open the door applying the least force. Now come to this point, this is very important one. He has to apply the least force. He has to apply least force. So for that, distance should be maximum. Question says he has to apply least force, and for that distance should be maximum. So that means in case 2, he will be applying the force at this end only. He will apply the force at the end of the door. So here you will apply the force F2. This is to be calculated. And for case 2, what will be the distance? Distance will be 3 meters. So it's the same door, so the torque remains the same. So your torque remains the same because the same door. So 180 Newton meter, force to be calculated and the distance to be kept maximum because we need to calculate least force. So distance to be kept maximum. So the force that he is going to apply will be 60 Newton. So that means the door can be opened with the least force of 60 Newton when applied at the end of the door. So you can note down this one. So in both these numerical number 1 and numerical number 2, in both the numericals, torque in the second case remains the same. Why? Because in numerical number 1, the same nut was to be opened again, and in this numerical also the same door is to be opened. So in both the cases, both the numericals, torque will remain same in the second case. Okay, now let's see in this numerical, they have given you a wheel which has a fixed axle passing through its center O. That means O is the center of rotation. The wheel is kept stationary under the action of two forces, a horizontal force F1 that they have shown in the diagram and a vertical force F2 that you have to mark at B. Okay, now in the diagram we have to mark F2. Now here one force has been already shown to you, and this is the point of rotation. Now if this force is applied, you can see this force is trying to rotate the wheel in the clockwise direction. That means here you have to apply a vertical force. That vertical force should be marked in the downward direction. Because if you mark the vertical force here at B in the downward direction like this, so we can say it will be producing anti-clockwise movement. So you will mark F2 in the downward direction. See, you cannot take F1 in the upward direction, because if you take F1 in the upward direction, then F1, if taken in the upward direction, it will also produce clockwise movement and the wheel won't be in the balanced state. Whereas the question says that the wheel is in equilibrium, so it is necessary for us to mark the force at point B, F2, in the downward direction. Now if we are marking F2 in the downward direction, so it is trying to rotate it in the anti-clockwise direction. So this force trying to produce anti-clockwise movement. Then only the wheel will be in the balanced state. This was the first part where you were asked to mark F2 vertical force, and we have to decide whether to mark the vertical force at B in the downward direction or in the upward direction. Now you see, second part they have asked you to find which of the two forces is greater. Now if you see here, then OA is the distance of F1. OA is the distance of F1 from the point of rotation that we have marked as D1. And OO dash, see F2 is acting along this line, so this is the line of action of force, and D is the distance, perpendicular distance of the line of action of force from the point of rotation. So this is D2, the distance of the second force. So here in the diagram you can see F1 is acting at a distance D1, that is OA, and F2 is acting at a distance of OO dash, that is D2. Now which of the two distance is greater, whether AO is greater or OO dash? As you can see in the diagram, AO is representing radius, whereas OO dash is less than the radius. So you can say OA is greater than OO dash. So we have OA greater than OO dash, right? So D1, that is the distance of first force, is more than the distance of second force from the point of rotation, and we know that greater the distance from the axis of rotation, less is the force required to rotate the body, right? So which distance is greater? D1. So the force corresponding to D1 will be less, and the force corresponding to D2 will be more. So from here you can say F2 is greater than F1. As you know the rule, greater the distance from the point of rotation, less is the force required to rotate the body. So here you can see F1 is acting at a greater distance, so F1 will be less. F2 is acting at a lesser distance, so F2 will be greater. This was the second part, right? Okay, now third part. So let us use the principle of moment as the wheel is in equilibrium. So V is in therefore the anti-clockwise moment will be equal to anti-clockwise moment will be equal to clockwise moment. This is by the principle of moments. Now here you can see F2 is producing anti-clockwise moment, whereas F1 is producing clockwise moment. So we can write F2 D2 is equal to F1 D1. Okay, F2 into, now here D2 is OO dash and D1 is AO. Now how much is OO dash given to you? OO dash given to you is 2 centimeter. And how much is AO given to you? AO is given 2.5 centimeter. Right? So now you have to compare it. So you get the ratio. So it's 2 upon 2.5 is equal to F1 upon F2. You will cross multiply, get the ratio. So from here, you will remove the decimal, it will be 20 upon 25. So the ratio will be 4 is to 5. So you were asked to find the ratio between F1 and F2. So the ratio between F1 and F2 is 4 upon 5. Now remember here D2 is the distance of F2. Now this is F2. This is the line of action of F2. So this is the distance for F2 O dash. This is your F1. So this is the distance for F1. So after substituting the values over here, we have got the results. So you can note it down. Now let's try this question number 4. On numerical number 4, they are saying, now before doing the numerical number 4, I have written a point over there. You keep this point in mind. If a force acts at the point of rotation, then moment produced by it about that point will be 0. Now for example, before doing this question, let me explain you. We have 3 points marked in this question: A, O and B. Now you can see at point A, force Fa is acting. So if I ask you what moment will force Fa produce about A, then according to the point that I have given you, you will say that the moment produced by Fa about A will be 0. Now you see over here, Fa is acting at point A, and it says that if a force acts at the point of rotation, now if we consider this as the point of rotation, then the moment produced by the force acting at this point will be 0. Is this clear to you? If I ask you how much is the moment produced by Fa about A, then you will say 0. In the same way, if I ask you how much is the moment produced by Fb at the point B, moment produced by Fb at the point B, you will say 0. Is this clear? Because Fa is acting at A, so the moment produced by Fa about A will be 0. Same way Fb is acting at B, so the moment produced by Fb at B will be 0. Okay, now if this point is clear to you, now let us start with this question. In the first part, what they have asked us? In the first part, they have asked us to calculate the resultant moment of the two forces. That means we have to calculate moment produced by Fa, moment produced by Fb, and then we have to find the resultant. And the first point of rotation given to you is A. Now in first part, now see this one. Point of rotation is A. Now how do we come to know that the point of rotation is A? Because they are asking you to calculate resultant moment about the point A. So that means A is the point of rotation in first part. Now there are two forces, so we are going to calculate moment produced by Fa about A and moment produced by Fb about A. So we are going to write it like this: moment of Fa about A, that will be straight away 0. Because I am asking you about the moment produced by force Fa which is acting at A, and I am asking you to calculate the moment about A only. So it will be 0. Moment of Fb about A. Now here for both the forces Fa and Fb, for both the forces point of rotation is A in the first part. So moment of A will be 0, but the moment of Fb about A. Now here see, this is the point of rotation, and how far is Fb from Fa, from this A? Fb is at a distance of 50. So you're going to write it like this, Fb into distance B. So that will be Fb. Now here you can see how much is Fb, 10, and its distance is 50 centimeter. You can convert it into meter. So you will be getting 5 Newton meter, and you see about this point, this will be producing which type of moment? What will be the direction here? It will go around like this. So you will say it will be producing clockwise. So we have calculated moment of Fa, we have calculated moment of Fb. Now we need to calculate resultant. So when you have to calculate the resultant, you will add moment of these two. This is 0, this is 5. So that will be 0 plus 5. That will be 5 Newton meter, and the direction will be clockwise. Hope this part is clear to you. In the first part, they have asked you to calculate the moment about the point A. So A was the point of rotation. Similarly, in the second part, they are asking you to calculate the moment of force about the point B. Now let's start with the second part. And here, then the second part, they are asking you the point of rotation will be B. Point of rotation will be B. Is this clear? Because in the second part, if you read the question, they have said you have to calculate the moment about B. Now B is the point of rotation. This point is the point of rotation, B. We have to calculate moment about B. Now, how far is Fa from B? Now you have to calculate moment of Fa about B, because here the point of rotation is B. Now how far is Fa from B? Fa force is 10, and the distance of Fa from B is 50 centimeter. So 50 by 100, that will give you 5 Newton meter. Now about B, now this is the point B, and this force, if you go this way, it is producing clockwise moment. So the moment produced by Fa about B will be 5 Newton meter. Now let us calculate moment of Fb about B. Now you can see you have to calculate moment about B, and the force is acting at that point only, and here it says a force which acts at the point of rotation, then the moment produced by it about that point will be 0. So straight away moment produced by Fb will be 0 now in this case. So what will be the resultant? So moment of Fa and the moment of B is 0. So the resultant will be 5 Newton meter, and the direction will be clockwise. So this point is clear to you. In the second part, point of rotation was B, because they were asking you to calculate the moment about B. So B was the point of rotation. Now coming to the third part. In the third part, they have asked you to calculate the moment, resultant moment of these two forces about the point O. And what O is representing over here? O is representing the midpoint. O is representing midpoint. In the third part, point of rotation is O. Now, if point of rotation is O, and we know that O is the midpoint, so here dA will be 25 centimeter. This. Similarly, dB, that will be 25 centimeter. For the third part, O is the point about which you have to calculate the moment. You have to calculate moment about O. So you can see in the diagram that we have marked dA, that is the distance of force A, is 25 centimeter because O is the midpoint, and dB is also 25 centimeter. And now we have to calculate the moment. So let's calculate moment of FA about O will be force and its distance from, now this is the point of rotation. O is the point of rotation in this question, in this part. Okay. Now how much is FA? 10. And this distance dA is 25 centimeter. Converting it into meter, so we are getting 2.5 Newton meter. And now let us check the direction for A about O. This is point O and A is moving like this, so it is producing clockwise. So the moment produced by A about the point O will be 2.5. Similarly, calculate for B. Moment again, this will be 2.5 Newton meter, and if you check for B, this is the point of rotation O and B goes like this. It is also producing clockwise movement. Now we have to find the resultant. So moment produced by FA is 2.5 clockwise. This one is also 2.5 Newton meter clockwise. Both are clockwise, so they will be added up. So this is how we will be calculating resultant of the two forces. Resultant moment of the two forces. Hope this point is clear to you. In the first part, point of rotation was A, so therefore FA moment was taken 0. In the second part, point of rotation was B, so moment of FB was taken as 0. And in the third part, point of rotation was O, so which was 25 centimeter from A as well as 25 centimeter from B. So we calculated the moment produced by these two forces and got the result. So you can note it down. Now let's see this question number 5. Now in numerical number 5, they have given us 3 forces, each of equal magnitude 4 Newton, with their direction marked, and now we have to find out which of the forces produces maximum and the other minimum moment about O. So for all these forces, point of rotation to be taken as O. So what we will do, as the force and its distance both are known to us, so we can calculate moment produced by each. So let us calculate the moment produced by each. Moment of FA about O. So that is FA is 4 and its distance is 0.9. So that is 3.6. Force is in Newton, distance is in meter, so it's Newton meter. But is this answer complete? No, because when we are finding the moment, we also have to write down the direction, whether it's in clockwise or anti-clockwise. So if you consider for this force FA about this point, it is going to rotate it like this. So that is clockwise. So here we can say moment of FA about O will be 3.6 Newton meter and the direction will be clockwise. Similarly, moment of FB about O. So as you can see, force is known 4 and its distance is 0.8. It will be 3.2 Newton meter. But again you can see that the direction, you have to write the direction. Now this is the point and this is the force, so it is going to move like this. So that is again the clockwise. So moment of the force B produced will be 3.2 Newton meter clockwise. Now the third force. So force is 4, distance is 0.6, it's 2.4 Newton meter, but you see that force C is going to rotate it in anti-clockwise direction. So the moment produced by the force C will be in anti-clockwise direction. So we have calculated moment produced by all the forces, and now we have to find which one is maximum and which one is producing minimum moment. So you can see A is producing maximum moment and C is producing minimum. So maximum moment by FA, that is 3.6 Newton meter. Minimum one, so we have calculated we have now here got which force is producing maximum and which one is producing minimum. Okay. After this, second part says you have to find the resultant. Now if all the moments were in the same direction, That means all were in clockwise, so we could have added them, and the resultant would have been in the clockwise. If all were in anti-clockwise, then again the moment resultant would have been in the anti-clockwise. But here two are producing clockwise and the other one is producing anti-clockwise. So the same direction one will be added and the opposite direction one will be subtracted. So see here for resultant. These two are the same direction. So these two are the same direction, but as you can see, they are in clockwise, and clockwise movement is always taken negative. So this one will be negative, this one will be negative, and this is anti-clockwise, so that one will be positive. So what will be the resultant? Minus 6.8 plus 2.4, so that makes it minus 4.4 Newton meter. So this will be the resultant. If you remove this minus sign, so you know that minus sign stands for clockwise, so you can write it like this also. 4.4 Newton meter clockwise. Because minus sign stands for clockwise movement. So this will be the answer. So you can pause and note it down. Now see in this numerical number 6. In numerical number 6 they are saying from the given diagram calculate first part the moment of F1 about O. Now O is given as the point of rotation and you have to calculate moment of F1 about O. So you can see in the diagram distance of F1 from O, that is the point of rotation, is 2 meter. Whereas the distance of F2 from the point of rotation is 4 meter. So let us calculate moment produced by these two forces about O. They have asked you to calculate the moment about O. So first part they have asked you to calculate the moment of F1 about O. So F1 5, distance D1, this is D1. So it's 10 Newton meter. Now this answer is not complete because direction has not been indicated. So here you can see that F1 will go like this, that is anti-clockwise. So it's anti-clockwise. So the moment produced by F1 will be in the direction anti-clockwise. Okay, now let us solve for second part. In the second part, they have asked you to calculate moment of F2 about O. F2 into D2. So how much is F2 over here? 3. And distance of F2 as you can see over here, this is 4. It will be 12 Newton meter. But again, direction is to be written and you can see this F2 will rotate the body in clockwise direction. So in the first part and the second part, they have asked you to calculate the moment produced by F1 and F2. That has been done with the direction we have written. Now the total moment. Now if the two moments were in the same direction, we would have added them. but you can see they are not in the same direction, so that means they will be subtracted. So from the bigger one you will be subtracting the smaller one, and the resultant will get the direction of bigger one. So the total moment, or you can say resultant. Now when they are in opposite direction, remember from the bigger you will subtract the smaller. And the resultant will get the direction of the bigger one. So this one is bigger, it's clockwise. So direction will be clockwise. Hope this is clear to you now. So you can pause and note it down. Now let's see the next one, numerical number 7. In numerical number 7 they say a uniform meter rule. So let us consider that this is a uniform meter rule. Now as it is a meter rule, so one end will be marked 0 and the other one will be marked as 100. Right? It's a meter rule. So meter rule is of 100 centimeters. So we have marked one end as 0 and the other end as 100. Now remember, for a meter rule, its weight will always act at its midpoint. Now as it is a meter rule, so its weight is going to act at the marking of 50. So at the marking of 50, we will show F1, that is weight of the scale. Remember, if a meter scale, or if a body, or you can say if a rod of uniform length is not balanced at its midpoint, then remember, at the midpoint you have to show the weight of the body acting. Now this was a meter rule, and as the question says that this meter rule balances horizontally on a knife edge placed at the 58 centimeter mark. That means this meter rule was not balanced at its midpoint. So whenever the meter rule, in a numerical, if you find a meter rule which is not balanced at its midpoint and it is balanced at some other point, then remember, at the midpoint you will mark a force representing its weight. And we know that weight of a body always act in downward direction, so we have marked it over here. Now this is balanced at 58 centimeter mark. So here will be the 58 centimeter mark. Now if we leave the diagram at this stage, so do you think that this scale is balanced at this point? Do you think that the scale is balanced at this point? No. Why the scale is not balanced at this point? Because this force F1 is making the scale to rotate like this, that is in the anti-clockwise direction. So you can say this force is producing anti-clockwise moment. So to balance it, you need one more force that can produce a clockwise moment like this, a clockwise moment to balance the anti-clockwise moment. Is this clear to you? The weight of the scale is making the scale to rotate in anti-clockwise direction. As you can see in the diagram, F1 will make the scale rotate in anti-clockwise direction about the knife edge, which has been placed at 58. So here at 58 we have the point of rotation. Now to counterbalance it, you need another force that can produce clockwise moment. Now what the question says, a weight of 20 GF is suspended from one end. Now to balance this rule, they are giving you a weight of 20 GF. and now you have to decide at which end you are going to place that weight. Now it's clear from this diagram, you cannot place that weight this side, because if you will place the weight this side, F2, so F2 will also produce anti-clockwise moment, and this force F1, that is the weight of the scale, is already producing anti-clockwise moment, and if F2 also produces anti-clockwise moment, so they will add up instead of balancing each other. So that means the other force should be placed at this end. So I'm going to place that force F2. Now this will produce clockwise moment like this, and which can balance the anti-clockwise moment produced by the weight of the scale. Hope this point is clear to you. F1, the weight of the scale, was producing anti-clockwise moment, so we have to place F2 such a way that it produces clockwise moment. Now as the question says that F2 is to be placed at one end, so we have only two ends, left end and right end, and we know that on the left hand we cannot place it, otherwise the two forces will produce the same moment. So we will be marking that F2 on the right end. Now we have the scale in balanced position as the question says. So this scale is in equilibrium. So we know in equilibrium. So we are going to, which principle you are going to apply over here? You will first write that principle by principle of moment in equilibrium position. So now you have seen the diagram, which of the force is producing anti-clockwise movement. So you can see F1, this is producing anti-clockwise movement. And F2 is producing clockwise movement. So we are going to write it this way, F1 d1 is equal to F2 d2. Now here, what d1 represents? d1 represents the distance of F1 from the point of rotation. Now here, this is the point of rotation, this is the point of rotation, so this distance will be d1, and from here to here this will be d2. Hope this is clear to you. Fulcrum is the point of rotation, so from fulcrum the distance of F1 will be marked as d1, and from fulcrum distance of F2 will be marked d2. So now you see in the diagram how much is d1? It's from 50 to 58, that is 8 centimeter. And how much is d2? It is from 58 to 100, that is 100 minus 58. So F1 is unknown. How much is d1? 58 minus 50. You will subtract these two. I am just showing here in the working, but you need not to show there. You can directly do it. F2 is 20. How will you get d2? d2 you will get 100 minus 58. F1 into 8. This will give you 42. Now here you can see this F2 was in GF, so F1 you will get in GF. And what is F1 representing? It is representing weight of the scale. So in the question what they have asked for, what is the weight of the rule? Now if in the question they have asked for what is the mass of the rule, then remember you would have written the answer, mass of the rule is 105 gram, not GF. GF is the unit for weight. So in the question they have asked for the weight of the rule. That's why we are writing it as GF. If they have asked for mass, then you would have written mass of the rule is 105 gram. Hope it's clear to you. So you can pause and note it down. Now say this question number 8. In question number 8, again they have shown you a meter rule, but this time the question says that the meter rule is pivoted at its midpoint, that is 50. Now remember, if the meter rule is pivoted at its midpoint, we do not show the weight of the scale acting over there. Is it clear? Like in the previous question, meter rule was balanced at 58 centimeter marked, so we have shown the weight of the scale F1 acting at its midpoint. But if the meter rule or any rod of uniform length, if it is marked at its center of gravity, now this is the midpoint, so for a rule we know that center of gravity will be its midpoint. So if a scale is balanced at its midpoint, you need not to show the weight of the scale acting over there. Now in this diagram there are two forces acting on the scale, one at the mark of 10 and the other force at the mark of 90. So let us mark these two forces. This is your F1, this is F2. F1 acting at the mark of 10 and F2 acting at the mark of 90. Now if you see, the point of rotation over here is 50. So how much will be D1 here if you see? Then D1, this will be D1, this distance. And similarly, this will be D2. So if you see, D1 is this, from 50 to 10, that is 40, 50 minus 10. And this is D2, 90 minus 50. And the question says, is the meter rule in equilibrium? Now they haven't given that the rule is in equilibrium. They are asking us, is the rule in equilibrium? Now as we can see, there are two forces acting over it, F1 and then we have F2. Now in the diagram, as you can see, F1 is producing about this point anti-clockwise movement. F1 is going to produce anti-clockwise movement, and here F2 will rotate this way, the scale, so it's producing clockwise movement. So the two forces are producing moment in opposite direction. Now they are asking, is the rule in equilibrium? So what we will do, we will calculate anti-clockwise moment, we will calculate clockwise moment, and if the two moments are equal, then we can say that the rule is in equilibrium. So let's calculate the two moments. Now F1 is producing anti-clockwise movement. So let's calculate anti-clockwise moment due to F1. That will be F1 D1. So here F1 is 40 GF and D1 is 50 minus 10. So anti-clockwise moment in this diagram is of 1600 GF centimeter. Now let us calculate clockwise moment. Now you can see the diagram. Clockwise moment is due to F2. So let's calculate. So here F2 is 20 and its distance is from 50 to 90. So we have calculated the two moments. Now as we can see, the two moments produced are not equal. So anti-clockwise moment is not equal to clockwise moment. So we can say that the scale is not in equilibrium. So we can say that the scale is not in equilibrium. Okay, now they say if not, how will the rule turn? Now we have got it that anti-clockwise moment is not equal to clockwise moment, so we are saying that the scale is not in equilibrium. Now they are saying if it is not in equilibrium, then how will it turn? So which side moment is greater? Anti-clockwise, so we will say that the scale will turn in anti-clockwise direction. You see, anti-clockwise moment is greater and clockwise moment is lesser. So we can say how the scale will turn. So scale turns in this was the first part. Hope this is clear to you. Two moments not equal. So we can say that the scale won't be in equilibrium. Now, here anti-clockwise moment is greater. Now they are saying how can this scale be brought in equilibrium by using a third force. See, the question says how can the rule be brought in equilibrium by using an additional weight of 40 GF. You have been given an additional weight of 40 GF and you have to find how can this weight be used to get the scale in equilibrium. Okay. Now first of all you decide which side. Hope you have noted down this so I can rub it and I can explain the second part. Now we have to bring this scale in equilibrium with the help of a third force. Now you decide which side we should put the third force. Left side or right side. Now left side force is producing anti-clockwise moment which is already greater than the clockwise moment. See here, this F1 is producing anti-clockwise moment, F2 is producing clockwise moment and this anti-clockwise moment is already greater. So that means third force has to be placed in such a way that it also produces clockwise moment because clockwise moment is lesser. So that means third force you will be placing on the right side. You see, F2 placed on the right side is producing clockwise movement, and the clockwise movement is lesser, so that means the third force has to be placed on the right side, but we don't know at which place. We know it is to be placed on the right side, but at what distance from the fulcrum, that is unknown. So what we will do, we will consider third force being placed here somewhere. It is to be placed on the right side. Now where, that we don't know. And let the distance of this third force F3, let this distance be D3, but it is unknown to us. That is why I have represented third force on the right side with the dotted line. I have represented F3 on the right side, but with the dotted line, showing that we don't know the position. We know that it is to be placed on the right side, but at what position, that we don't know. So we have considered distance of F3 be D3. F3 is known. How much is F3 given? 40 GF. But its distance is unknown to us. And the question says we have to find that distance. Now F3 is going to produce clockwise moment, and then anti-clockwise moment will be equal to clockwise moment. So we know moment now. In this diagram we have 1, 2, 3 forces. F1 was producing anti-clockwise moment, that you have already calculated in the first part, 1600 GF centimeter. Okay. Now these two forces are producing clockwise movement. So clockwise movement is being produced by F2 and F3. These two forces are producing clockwise movement. Of these, F2 D2 is already known to us as 800. F3 is 40. So we are going to take. Okay, now F3 is also producing clockwise movement. So F3 is 40, but its distance is unknown to us. So we can write it as 40 into D3. That is the moment, clockwise movement. Now with the use of this third force, the scale has been brought in equilibrium. So now the scale is in equilibrium. So sum of anti-clockwise moment. Anti-clockwise moment is 1600. That will be equated with So we have got position for D3 is 20 centimeter. So, but this is not the way of writing the answer, because you are writing F3 is F3 to be placed at 20 centimeter. But in the answer you have to mention either on the left side or on the right side. In the diagram we have mentioned, or either you draw this diagram in your answer sheet so as to make sure that the examiner knows that you have placed F3 on the right side, or otherwise you are going to write the answer F3 to be placed at a distance of 20 centimeter from the fulcrum on the right side. Or you can also write it this way. The fulcrum is at 50 and then you add 20, 70 centimeter marking. You can write it like this also, that F3 at 20 centimeter from fulcrum on right side, or you can write F3 at 50 plus 20, that will make it 70 centimeter marking. Hope this is clear to you, so can note it down. Now let's see this numerical number 9. Now what they say in numerical number 9? Numerical number 9 says that a uniform meter rule. Now first of all, it's a uniform meter rule. So marking will be from 0 to 100. This will be the marking. It's a meter rule. So marking will be from 0 to 100. And if this meter rule is not pivoted at its center, then the weight of the rule has to be shown at the center, if not pivoted at the center. So let's read the question and just get it clear whether it is pivoted or not at the center. Now, a uniform meter rule of weight 10 GF is pivoted at 0 mark. Now it is pivoted at 0 mark. That means it is not pivoted at the center. So this is the point of rotation, and I told you if a scale is not pivoted at its center, then at the center you have to show a force that will be its weight. And here how much is the weight given? 10 GF. That's the weight given to you. Now under this condition they are asking what moment of force depresses the rule. Now as you can see in this question, there is only one force acting over here at 50, and this force will be trying to rotate the scale in clockwise direction. So this is the force which is trying to depress the scale. So they are saying what moment depresses the scale. So the moment produced by F1 will depress the scale. So moment produced by F1 depresses the scale. So let's calculate it. F1 producing moment about O, that is the 0 mark. So it will be F1 D1, and here you can see F1 is 10 and the D1 is 50. So it is 10 into 50 minus 0, 50 minus 0. So that will give you 10 into 50, 500 GF centimeter. So moment produced by F1 depresses the scale, and the moment due to F1 about 0 marking will be this. And what will be the direction? And here you will be writing the direction, so it is clockwise. So in the first part, they've asked you what moment depresses the rule. So it is 500 GF moment depresses the rule. GF centimeter depresses the rule, and in which direction? Clockwise. Now they say, how can it be made horizontal by applying a least force? Now remember here the word least. The question says you have to apply the least force. Now we know that for least force, distance should be maximum from the point of rotation. This point you have to keep in mind. For least force, distance from point of rotation should be maximum. So here we can write here, for least force, distance should be maximum. Therefore, F2 will be at 100 centimeter mark. See here the question says what least force. So we know that for least force distance should be maximum, and for maximum distance we can say that F2 will be at 100 centimeter mark. This point you have to keep in mind. That is for least force, distance should be maximum. Therefore, F2 will be hope this point is clear to you. Now, the other thing, now it's clear that the force to be marked at 100 centimeter. But now let's talk about the direction of force. See here. Now if someone places the force in downward direction, here, downward direction, then if you place the force in downward direction, it will produce clockwise moment, and this force was already producing clockwise moment, so they won't balance each other. So that means the force which is to be marked at 100 centimeter here, it should be in upward direction. If you mark the force over here in upward direction, then this force will produce anti-clockwise moment that can balance the clockwise moment. You have to keep this in mind. First of all, it was clear to you that the force to be placed at 100 centimeter mark. But now we have to talk about the direction also. See, if we place it in the downward direction, then F2 will start producing clockwise moment, and F1 was already producing the clockwise moment. So they won't be able to balance each other. So that's why in the diagram we have shown that F2 to be marked in upward direction. So now you can see F2 will be producing anti-clockwise moment about O, and then it can counterbalance moment produced by F1. So let us calculate moment produced by F2. Now this force to be calculated, what least force, this is unknown, but its distance is known, and its distance is 100. So moment by F2 is this much. Now this moment produced by F2 is balancing the rule. So whenever a rule is in balanced position, we say anti-clockwise moment is equal to clockwise moment. Therefore, clockwise moment will be equal to, and this is anti-clockwise. So anti-clockwise moment will be equal to clockwise. So it was asked what least force will balance the rule. So we can say force of 5 GF will balance the rule. So you can pause and note it down. Now see, in numerical number 10, they are saying a uniform half meter rule. Now try to understand this statement, a uniform half meter rule. Up till now we have been talking about a meter rule. So meter rule is of 100 centimeter. 0 and the other end is 100 and the midpoint is 50. But here the question says it's a half meter rule. So for a half meter rule, total length will be 50 centimeter. So one end will be marked as 0, other end as 50 and the midpoint will be 25. It's a half meter rule. So this end will be marked as 0. This one will be marked as 50 and the midpoint will be marked as 25. Now remember, if a scale is not pivoted at its midpoint, then at the midpoint you have to show the weight of the scale. So let's see where this scale is pivoted. A uniform meter rule can be balanced at 29 centimeter mark. Now it is balanced at 29 centimeter mark. So 29 centimeter will be somewhere here. So at 29 centimeter they have balanced the rule. Means this rule is not balanced at midpoint. So at midpoint we will show weight of the scale acting in the downward direction like this. The weight of the scale will be shown to be acting at its midpoint, that is 25. And now this rule is balanced when a mass of 20 gram is hung from its one end. Now mass of 20 gram is given to you. So if you are provided with a mass of 20 grams, you can say that you are provided with a force of 20 GF. Mass is 20 grams. So you can say that you are provided with a force of 20 GF. So F2 is of 20 GF and it is to be hung at one end. Now you decide from the diagram whether 0 or 50 where to be. If we hang it over here, it will produce anti-clockwise moment which will sum up with this anti-clockwise moment, so they won't balance each other. So that means it is to be hung here. And now the rule is balanced. Hope the diagram is clear to you. Now the rope is balanced. Okay, now for F1, how much is the distance D1? For F1, this is the distance D1. And for F2, this is the distance D2. Now, as the question says that the rule is balanced, so you can write it in equilibrium. We can write sum of anti-clockwise moment is equal to sum of clockwise moment. Now, which of the force is producing anti-clockwise moment? So you can see F1 is producing anti-clockwise moment. So it's F1 D1 And which force is producing clockwise moment? F2. So we are going to mark it like this. Okay, F1 we have to calculate, that is the weight of the rule, into D1. D1 is 29 minus 25. Force is at 25 and the point of rotation is 29. You subtract it. F2 is 20. F2 is at 50 and point of rotation is 29. So you subtract it. So left side on the right side, and this will give you 21. So you reduce it by 5. So F1 is equal to 105. Now one of the force was in GF, so the second force will be in GF. So we have got the F1 as 105 GF. Now here F1 is representing weight of the scale. So we can say weight of the scale is 105 GF. But the question says you have to find mass of the scale. So what can you say about the mass? So you will say that the mass of the scale is 105 grams. GF is the weight, but they are asking for the mass. So mass of scale is equal to 105 grams. This will be the answer. So you can pause and note it down. So students, up till now we have completed with the 10 numericals. In this numerical sheet, I gave you 11 numericals. 10 I have solved for you. 1 I have left for you to try it. And in the next video, I will explain you that 11th one. But first I want you all to try it on your own. So till the next video, just keep yourself engaged with the studies and be safe.